Harold Boyd is on. New name, actually. Ed Worley is on. We got a submission for more Fozies today, Julie, I think, than ever. Ed Worley has made his submission. Alistair, Greg Phillips did a walkabout, as, of course, did John Emmett. Good show. Pedro Foiling Sailor's back. Welcome, Peter. And Greg Phillips is up in Moncton in New Brunswick, outside of Halifax. Jeff Ogle saying TGIF from Annapolis. We're here as usual in Studio B. Got a new flag there, Julia, over your head. I've got your mic up.
I certainly do. It's a great flag, and one of my favorite organizations besides.
The Cruising Club of America. Jeff Ogle, if you want to submit for Fozie, you just put a video camera on yourself and send it to me. As more and more people are, J. Frederick Bland is on, sending his regards, and he was also helpful today in preparing today's show with some links from the OK Dinghy class, in which he is, I think, the American Vice President. Gordon Smith in Denmark, Andrew Pindar saying hola.
Hola.
Let's get this one off the dock. Welcome.
3, 2, 1.
Lunabos is in Sonoma. Jody Shields is up early. We're in Sydney. It's 06:01.
Cold.
In the Australian Eastern Standard Time Zone. Hello from a cold Kiama on the he's on the south coast of New South Wales, first leg of his book launch tour. Cool stuff. Julie, I trust you're well.
I am.
Any hot tips?
Not really. Not really. I'm ready for fall though.
We got our flu shots yesterday.
We did.
So we're turned out. We turned out our fall attire. Julia has no scarf on. She said, "You don't have a scarf that matches that dress. Beautiful dress."
No.
So I put on one of my fall jackets for autumn. We call it fall in the U.S. Most of the rest of the world calls it autumn.
Yes.
The autumnal season. I'm your host, Tom. Julie is my co-host, as you all know, and we are doing show number 556 here from the Beach Street Yacht Club in San Francisco's beautiful Marina District. Welcome to all of you. Will Simpson, morning both. Opening day at the Squadron over here in rainy Auckland. Opening day in Auckland. We have also a submission from Bill Wingrove. Two videos, actually. One from yesterday morning and one from this morning. Bill, who was really at ground zero, just a little north of it, thank goodness. And he's got a couple of nice videos for us from Hurricane Ian. Autumn Leaves is a great song. The autumn leaves drift by my window.
Yes.
The autumn leaves.
Gordon Smith, that's where
of red and
it's
that's
falling
the color
leaves.
of your dress.
Falling leaves. Yeah.
Yep, it is a great song, and let's get this one going. We have a new shot here for the pre-start. Do you recognize that yacht club, Julia? Hi, John Emmett. That is, you can see it, Chicago, Illinois.
Yeah.
That is the pre-start from the Chicago Yacht Club. We've got a new slide, and that is the 2022 Chicago Mackinac Race Committee.
Oh, that's good.
Sending their regards to the Fozie. We appreciate that shot. And as I said, up here above Julia now, here in the Studio B back there. That's the control room back there behind that door.
With all 45 of our staff.
L45. Cruising Club of America, Bergie. Thank you to Chris Otorowski who sent that, gave that to us. By the way, Julia had a nice note from Andrew McIrvin, who watched the show on replay. I think he's down now in Saint-Tropez. I think he's going to send us something next Tuesday, because that regatta, the Lavoie, goes on all next week. And I think he's going to send us either a video, maybe come live next Tuesday. But he appreciated the marmalade thing.
Oh, good.
It's here on the desktop. And the Royal Yacht Squadron marmalade, because we called it jelly when we were talking about Her Majesty the Queen and Paddington Bear. And, of course, they make, and she apparently carried a marmalade sandwich in her. That was a funny thing. May she rest in peace. What a wonderful person she was. Cruising Club of America, Bergie, now proudly hung here in Studio B. And let's get to this awful thing here. We'll do it in the pre-start that happened. Thank God. It doesn't, I don't know, Julie, it doesn't sound like that much loss of life from what I'm hearing. They're still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
But knock on wood, that there's not too much loss of life because certainly it was nearly Cat 5. And once again, Mark Michelson called it almost. He said it's going to be further south than where they're saying. It's going to be stronger than what they say.
It's going to go across.
And it's going to go across. And now, of course, right as we speak, it's going inshore at just north of Charleston, South Carolina, right? Myrtle Beach and so on. But let's get the CCA off here. This is a video one of you sent us. This is what this scene looks like in normal times, and this is what it looked like as the hurricane made landfall day before yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Same scene. See that American flag kind of billboard up there in the back?
Yeah. Somebody
somehow managed to get this picture, and the water damage is just extraordinary, as you all know. It was 12 or more feet above the normal levels when it came ashore. Here's another video. This is kind of cool. You know, I tried to find yachty, boaty stuff, but there was a dog stuck on that boat, and a good Samaritan went out, rescued the dog, and then apparently went back after this and rescued a cat off the same boat. This is brings out the best in people.
Yeah.
And of course there's some looting and some Crutonic stuff that brings out the worst, I suppose, as well. But lots of great gestures in what is a horrific situation.
Very happy dog.
Indeed. One of the worst situations, obviously, hurricanes to hit Florida and the West Coast. A lot of times they go up through Miami and the East Coast, but this one, worst one in 100 years, I guess. And it's a global warming. Let's don't get into the politics of that now, shall we? Because, you know, there have been worse hurricanes. There will be worse hurricanes. But remarkably, this hurricane season has not been all that bad.
There have only been 2 or something.
And it's been late. It was a late start, and hopefully we're done with it now, but one never knows. Take the boat to periscope depth from Submariner, I think they call themselves, J. Frederick Bland, a.k.a. Facebook user here. Jody Shields, my books are available to purchase online. Just send me $25, and when I drink enough beer, I'll eventually put a book together. But back to the hurricane. Seriously, this was a shot courtesy of the Associated Press of Fort Myers. And Fort Myers is just south of where they thought it was going in originally, Tampa, St. Pete, Sarasota, that area, where J. Frederick Bland, where a couple of our FOSI live. And we're going to have that report in a moment. But look at this devastation. You've seen it on the news. It's obviously, it's just terrible. And the water damage and the winds, almost Cat 5, just below Cat 5. These shots, courtesy of the Associated Press, via USA Today photographer Wilfredo Lee. And he took some more photos. I just threw them in here because the causeway, there's, as most of you will know, Florida is surrounded by these barrier islands, and I can't remember the ones over there, Sanibel and some of the others, just beautiful islands, lots of homes. And, you know, it was going to happen sooner or later. People knew it. And look at this causeway that connects those islands on the West Coast. The damage done, just the water flowing over it. And it'll be a long time to repair that. People having a tough time getting, you know, it's impossible except by boat or maybe helicopter. Stingray saying Fort Myers, which really took the brunt of this, will take years to recover indeed.
Yeah, and even if there were money and men to repair those things, the supplies are not readily available.
Exactly. So, again, I don't know what the loss of life is. They probably don't know yet down there either, anywhere close. And SAR, search and rescue, is ongoing, but it does not sound so far. I think the governor got on top of this, got people motivated to seek higher, drier land, as did our FOSI, Bill Wingrove, who's going to report for us in a moment here. He sent us a video from Winter Haven, where he has a home inland. He has a house in Tampa, but he has another home in Winter Haven, Florida, inland a bit. Ian followed a similar path to Charlie back in 2004, Bill Wingrove is saying. Speaking of Bill, is on here now. Replacement cost will double. And, of course, a lot of folks moved there to Florida, including to the West Coast. I prefer the West Coast. It's drier. It's less humid. And, you know, you don't have quite the same afternoon thunderstorms that you do on the East Coast.
Right.
But obviously, our thoughts are with everybody there, including our Fozy, Bill Wingrove, who sent this video, this report in yesterday.
Good morning. Following morning after the night, which got fairly rowdy there for a while. The rain was pounding the windows like somebody was hitting us with a fire hose. But anyway, a little bit of debris built up, but not as bad as Irma. I don't know if you can see there in the background, there's a big chunk of tree down across the median area there. Let's see if I can zoom in on it. And then sweeping back to this side, big chunk of tree that came down in the median. Along with the other piece that fell earlier in the night. I heard something go thump about 3 or so this morning and looked around our house, didn't see anything, but obviously it must have been this chunk of tree coming out. So anyway, see all the scraps laying around here.
Okay, so that's Bill reporting in yesterday morning. Now he's sort of halfway, not even halfway, he's up toward Orlando, between Orlando in the center of the state and Tampa, and he's got his boats at Davis Island Yacht Club. And as you'll hear in this next video that Bill sent in, the clubs up in the northern part of the state are okay. But they're incommunicado down Naples and Fort Myers, that area. And I do have one report that I have for you in a moment from Fort Myers, from a dear friend there. But let's go to Bill's report from this morning.
Good morning again, Tom, Julia, and all the Fozy. Kind of giving a wrap-up report here of how things are going. Down the street, you can see we got roads closed. Power poles down in the street blocking access to the South Lake Howard Drive that goes around through there, and a little bit of damage report still. Got some trees down. We do have traffic resuming and business picking back up. One of our trees that didn't make it here. And in the distance, you can probably hear the generator running. Still without power, but fortunately the Tico trucks have been circling the neighborhood this morning, so hopefully that'll be rectified soon. Checking around Tampa Bay area, sounds like most all the yacht clubs did well. Biggest thing was the tide being pulled out of the bay, and all the surrounding intercoastal. Did see a video from John's Pass where even post low tide it was still drawing water out, and a lot of the shoreline exposed and everything. You may have seen some pictures from Tampa Bay to where the water was drawn all out, people walking in the bay. At Davis Island, a lot of the boats settled down in the mud. Some still had a little bit to float. Others were standing on their keels. Kind of the same report throughout the rest of the bay area as far as yacht clubs. So far, the only reports are minimal damage, a little bit of scuff here and there. Boats, the fender boards either get moved or boats settling down and rubbing a few barnacles as they were so low, probably at least 6 foot or so below their normal float level. So these services are resuming again, but of course, obviously farther south, a lot of the clubs down there are just devastated. Boats damaged, piled up, sunk, a lot of things like that. So really no concrete reports from any of the clubs down in that area. Obviously a lot of communication and power, everything else is not even close to being restored down there, except in minimal areas, probably inland. But overall, the Tampa Bay area, Central Florida, other than some limbs down, cleanup, fixing up a couple of scuff spots on the boats, we dodged the bullet again. Thankful for that. Also have the people down lower coast there in our thoughts and prayers, and hopefully they'll be able to recover, and things like boats and all that can be replaced one day. It's heartbreaking at times to think of all the travels and adventures you've spent with an inanimate object, but they've become rather sentimental to you. So anyway, we'll hang in here, get things cleaned up, and hopefully back racing soon. Everybody take care. Appreciate all the thoughts and support coming from everybody all over. So back to you, and let's get the regular programming again.
Yeah, thanks very much, Bill Wingrove. There he's at his home inland in Winter Haven, which is inland a bit, I don't know, 20, 25 miles from Tampa, St. Pete, from Sarasota, that area there on the bay. And even there, had he stayed, they were worried that that's where the hurricane was going to go inland. But look at this. He sent this, Bill did, the observed water levels in the East Bay of again, Tampa Bay. And you can see that precipitous drop, more than 5 feet. In fact, a couple of you made the comments here about how much water was sucked out of Tampa Bay. Fog machine saying tide was minus 5 feet in Tampa Bay at the low point, as you can see here on this graph. And I asked Bill to summarize it. Well, you heard him say in that second video, dodged another bullet here in Tampa Bay, concerned for the ones down south, and we'll get through this like we have before. He said, this was a text just before we went there, so power is now back on, so heading back to normal. But Julie, it's amazing how many people have Generac or similar computer generators for power. And if you lived in Florida and these things came along every few years, you'd have a generator too.
Yeah, I mean, I've said that about the fires.
Don't you have one up at Calistoga
Yes.
at your home up there in case there's
A solar generated one.
solar generator? Well, you're very with it and very clean.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, thanks for all these comments. And Don Lunabos, I think you're right. The replacement cost of all this stuff is going to be huge. And Bill Haynes saying in 2004, Hurricane Charlie hit, and when people rebuilt, they built to a stronger code and are in better shape than they might have been. Good point. Good point. But thanks again, Bill Wingrove, for those two video reports. Now, as I promised, perhaps the best known sailing club, school, otherwise, on the west coast of Florida is Stephen Doris Colgate's Offshore Sailing School. It's been there for years. They operate in 2 or 3 places, not only in Fort Myers, I think in Captiva Island, and also in the BVI. And I texted with the Colgates, specifically with Doris this morning. I sent her a text saying, "Hey, are you guys okay? And what's the situation?" So she sent a note, very kind note through, and said, check our Facebook page. But in essence, there's good news and bad news. The good news that this is a shot just before the hurricane. This is 3 days ago. She said, we're battening down the hatches on their Facebook page, and our HQ office in South Fort Myers will be closed until the hurricane passes, hoping to reopen office on Friday. Well, I'm not sure they're going to make that. That's today. We are working remotely. Best way to reach us by email. We've contacted all the students. This is a huge school they run, and very fine, very successful school, where we may need to reschedule courses given impacts of the storm. Stay safe, everyone. And then a few hours ago, they posted this on the Facebook, amazingly, post-hurricane, of course. Amazingly and happily, our staff is safe. Unfortunately, Hurricane Ian has taken the greatest toll on our community. It will take some time to assess our fleet, and we will communicate more in the coming days. Nearly all of us have been without communication, power, etc. for 24 plus hours. And of course, remember, it's hot and humid down there. But we will weather this like challenges before. We hope to reopen our HQ office now on Monday, October 3rd. Please be patient as we communicate with students whose courses begin October 8th and later. And that, again, is Steve and Doris Colgate, who are both members and well-deserved members of the U.S. Sailing Hall of Fame, long time friends and acquaintances. And, of course, we're wishing them the very best, as they took it in Fort Myers. Basically, they took it full frontal. It was right a slap in the face and more, a punch in the face, really. Okay, talking with Mark Michelson, texting with him, he sent through a couple more charts saying this is, as you can see right about now, in fact, about an hour ago, it went in just, I think, north of Charleston. And it re-strengthened to Category 1 when it got out over the ocean after it passed across Florida. And it's really up in Myrtle Beach and perhaps north. Charleston, I think, even though they hit at pretty much at high tide, or the Ian went ashore, it went ashore north. And you all know how this works. If the hurricane comes in here and the circulation is counterclockwise, as you all know, in a low pressure system like a hurricane, so if it goes in here and it's blowing like that, it's actually blowing water away from Charleston in theory. It may be sucking some of the water inland. But if you are up here, not only the northerly motion of the hurricane, but the circulation combined, the apparent wind is forcing a lot of water and a lot of wind north and east of the hurricane, which, as you know, Julia, is the bad quadrant, the dirty quadrant, as they say. Jody Shields is saying there'll be electric cars all over the place stranded as they need generators to provide power to homes now. Replying, Gordon Smith in Denmark saying, and unfortunately, Ian pulled some cool air down, lows into the 60s, which helped greatly. Yes, indeed, Bill. Bill Wingrove saying, after Charlie, it was sweltering hot for days with no electricity for AC. Fog machine, last I looked, surge was 1 to 2 feet above normal in Savannah and Charleston. So, it's nothing, as I was saying, nothing too horrible there, given where it went just north. But we'll see how Myrtle Beach and Wilmington make out. One more slide, just as this thing. What Mark did tell us this morning is that the hurricane force winds, you can see, extend way inland, way out from the center. He said this will increase surge above normal levels for a Cat 1 hurricane. And again, in the northeast quadrant, that's where people are watching out. We'll see how that plays out, but not nearly anything like happened that affected Florida. Thanks again to Mark Michelson, who was with us live by phone on Tuesday. And again, he called it just right.
Yeah, he did.
Julia, he's amazing how he somehow gets it right hours before our National NOAA and Atmospheric Administration, the Government Weather Service. And thanks again, Mark, for doing that. Now, just to wrap this up, I couldn't resist this, having been with the West McLaren Mercedes F1 team back in the late 90s. This is a $1 million McLaren. Some of you will have seen it, and I think several of you sent this to me. I think the first one is, as usual, was our friend in Cape Town.
Yes.
A $1 million McLaren. The guy had a Bentley next to it in his garage. This is in Naples, Florida, down south of Fort Myers, and they got hit pretty badly too. He's only driven it 300 miles. He had packed it full of supplies, figuring the storm was going north, and the car and the supplies, of course, are wiped out. And as Luca Craig says, it's an extreme car wash.
Oh.
$1 million McLaren. Well, they'll sort it out.
They'll just dry it out.
They'll dry it out somehow. Okay, enough on the storm, Hurricane Ian, and our thoughts and indeed prayers with everybody affected by this. And it's going to be weeks. It's going to affect, Julia, the supply chains. It's going to affect fuel prices. This is not a good thing. And of course, everyone's politicizing it here in the U.S. because Ron DeSantis, who's the governor of Florida, is viewed by many, probably himself, as a potential Republican candidate for president, if not this time, meaning in what is this, 2016, 2020, 2024?
24, yeah.
In 2028 even if not this time in 2024, Governor Ron DeSantis. He seems to have handled this pretty well. I don't know what Bill Wingrove thinks, but he seems to have gotten all the resources pre-positioned, got a lot of help from other states, asked the feds for help, and President Biden was quick to respond. So hopefully this is not going to be politicized anymore than usual. Bill Haynes saying it's the new McLaren submarine. Steve Gruber saying, it is totaled for sure. Yeah, probably is. A lot of electronics in that car. I've ridden in one of those with Ron Dennis. Wow. Okay, DeSantis is one of 2 Republican senators that voted against the Sandy relief bill. Was DeSantis a senator then? Okay, well, he was big on not providing federal relief and having the states do it, but we'll see. We'll see. Well, let's not politicize it ourselves. Julia, do you know what day it is today? There's your first and only clue. Well, I got another clue, actually.
Well, Gutenberg.
That's a good thought, but it's not. It's even before that. 30 September is International Translation Day.
Okay.
Who would have thought? International Translation Day on September 30th pays tribute to language professionals who offer translation and interpretation services. In doing so, translators bring nations together, facilitate dialogue, and contribute to world peace. Yeah, okay.
Indeed.
One,
Well,
one
they
can
do.
only hope. One can only hope. There are over 6,500 spoken languages in the world. That I did not know. There were that many. It is challenging to overcome language barriers. Translators and interpreters make it easier to do so. Of course, computers do now.
Yeah.
Our iPhones are amazing. Translation and interpretation are two different things. Translation involves the written word. Interpretation involves the spoken word.
That's a nice distinction to make.
And you agree with that?
Yeah.
I did not know that either. But then
I wouldn't have said that out loud, but I agree with it.
I just went to a public university, and those of you who went to
In a nation,
that bugs my mom and Julie Ahrens when I say she being a big fan of Ohio State. Sorry, you were saying?
oh, but the country you come from is one language country.
Yeah, but at least I've lived in a couple other countries.
Oh, yes.
And I would never say I speak German. I can understand German, as you found out yesterday when doing some bank documents that you were sending back to Germany. But thank God it was printed also in English and French.
Yes.
And you read French.
And English.
And English.
And German in a pinch.
In a pinch. So who is this guy? Back to our very first clue.
Well,
he is the person who inspired this day, and it's why it's on September 30th, because it celebrates the feast of Saint Jerome.
I've never known
the
that.
patron saint of translators. Who would have known? I wouldn't have. Saint Jerome is credited for translating most of the Bible from Latin and Hebrew to Greek. He died on September 30th, 420.
Good for him.
September 30th, therefore, is International Translation Day. You never know what you're going to learn here on Sailing Illustrated.
Yeah, that's true.
The drinking show, the drinking show of the Sailing Habit is, some of you called it. It's also Chewing Gum Day. Yes, I saw that, Bill Haynes, and a couple other things. But let's get on with the sailing aspect of our show. At the starting line, as usual, we have our esteemed Olympic coach, our Coach's Corner, with John Emmett reporting in from Weymouth before he goes to the Ilka Worlds shortly.
Hi Tom, Julia and all the Fosi. So today is a little experiment for me before I head to the Worlds. So I've actually got my wireless mic inside this handheld microphone. I would actually show you inside, but I would need a third hand for that, and I've only got two. In fact, I think I need to keep the talk today, the walk and the talk, a little bit shorter than normal because I seem to have developed some long bicep tendonitis. Don't think I can actually blame that on my tiny little pocket too. I think it's probably more helping girls do chin-ups with the Emerging Nations programme when I suddenly had to help a lot of athletes rather than just one. But yeah, hopefully the sound quality of this is good. As I say, just hidden away, got the wireless mic, so hopefully the sound quality is good. It's a pretty windy day, so we'll see if the sort of ambient noise cancelling's working as well. So I think, yeah, I feel it's very easy. Everything just to speed up the process, and then actually I might even end up connecting wireless mics to my mirrorless camera. But the most important thing, as Tom always reminds me, is the audio. So hopefully this is all good. The difficulty for me is usually knowing what not to talk about, because I don't think we should be immune to sailing events which are going on, which are not within our interests. Some people are huge fans of the Sail GP. Some people prefer, you know, the match racing and the go slow water pushers. Personally, I'm very involved with the Olympic circuit, but I think sailing is a sport for all. And the worldwide events, it's not actually what to talk about, it's what's not to talk about, which is often the difficulty for me. And you know, you would have to have your TV and the internet turned off for weeks not to realise further annexation of Ukraine is currently in the process of going on, and it's a really sad situation. And in terms of sailing, I don't think we're going to see any more Russian athletes taking part for a very long time. And I just hope in 20 years' time these type of leaders won't be able to come to power, but we shall see. So it always seems, you know, quite a small thing when I'm here talking about the sailing. But that's obviously what my focus is, and I've been very privileged over a huge number of years to be helping young people go to Olympic Games and perform at their best. And now we're getting to the tail end of season. In fact, I really need to pack to go to the USA, because the longer you give yourself to do a job, the better you're going to do it. And I also think I'm quite lucky that I either avoided COVID or I had it earlier, because, you know, I keep on saying over the winter we're going to see the numbers going up, and you know, just being forewarned is forearmed. I think I said on last week's show, you know, have your vitamins C, D, your mineral zinc, and actually it's also vitamin D with K2 present, just in case you do succumb to what we would jokingly refer to as the dreaded lurgy, but of course it's more serious than that. But yeah, I seem to have avoided the worst of it, because I'm going to be jumping on a plane very soon, and it doesn't seem that long ago we had to do all sorts of tests and all sorts of paperwork and things to go, and now, you know, here we've got our freedom. It's actually not the case in China, so Lily was quite lucky to get COVID when she did, because there won't be any delays to the travel plans. Now here's the difficult bit. I told you I had a bit of pain in the long-headed bicep. All that's just shoulder pain for the rest of you. Going to do a quick swap. And continue. Was that a seamless transition? I think so. I'm trying to do these things in one take rather than the increased edit, so I can always make sure I get them out on time. And now for people who are looking for a bit of action, this is the point where I get run into by some small dog chasing a ball as we get to the end of the beach, and you realise obviously it's going to be the end of my little talk as we get down towards Weymouth Pavilion. Coming towards the end of season, we did the last cadet session recently, and I think that really is the future of the sport, looking after the young sailors. So we need to think of the best way of making use of the time. So what's actually going to happen at Castle Clove? We're still going to have evening socials, even if it's too dark to be sailing. So there could be Friday night social. May actually watch Sailing Illustrated from the Sailing Club and see how it goes. I'm going to be having evening talks. Because it's really important to think about sailing, even we can't get on the water as much as we would like. And that was actually the purpose of my book, you know, Be Your Own Sailing Coach. I wrote during a time of pretty bad injury, and it was just nice to be able to still think about sailing and still, plan what was going to have. And hopefully 2023 is going to be a bumper year. Certainly for the Ilka class, it's very front loaded with regattas, with the Europeans and Princess Sophia starting in March. So we're going to have a nice relaxed training block in Villamora, and that's what I'm planning to now. So this, and perhaps a few more next month, will be the last of these for quite a while, coming from Weymouth. So have a great show. See you all later, and best of luck with whatever endeavours you're up to.
And he ends again with the Ukrainian flag. We're all concerned about that, as apparently President Putin is annexing,
Yes.
as we speak, or has today annexed some of those territories. I want to get Gordon Smith going about who bombed that, Nord Streams 1 and 2. Somebody obviously sabotaged those. The Swedes and I think the Danes both, they heard the sonic underwater, and they said it was in the water, not below. It wasn't like it was an earthquake or something below those pipes. And I can't imagine Putin sabotaging his own pipes, and it also removes his leverage against Europe. But man, oh man, you guys, this is not a happy situation. But it is happy to have John Emmett with his report. He avoided, and I agree with Jeff Ogle. When he helped switched arms, we had a water view, and that was really nice, John. John's, of course, is on here now, and we appreciate John. And as you will have heard, John, the audio was superb. So that was, your
great.
audio's been quite good, but that was even better than ever. I see that Randy Scarlett has joined us, esteemed St. Francis Yacht Club member. Randy, Venetia Jackman, a lot of new names on here. Pat Garrity, Carlos Aviz is on. Even though they don't comment, we can usually see their names pop up here on one screen or another. Gordon Smith, the red and white object is a diffused sea mine turned into a charity collection box. Andrew McIrvin and Andrew Pindar have gone back and forth. First, Pindar said, talking about their new PM, if someone could translate the gobbledygook and twaddle being spoken by Liz Truss, their new Prime Minister, that would be very appreciated. And then Andrew McIrvin down a bit says, replying to Pindar, no chance. She is so far out of her depth, she does not even recognize it, nor does she even understand what she is saying or doing. One despairs. Julia, at the Stag Cruise last weekend, so people were asking Andrew McIrvin about their new PM, and he said, I wouldn't put her in charge of a sweet shop. But the British pound is what, at parity with the dollar? It's down. It's at parity, and in my lifetime, it's never been that low. And I'm thinking about doing a big buy of the pound because it'll go back up.
Yeah,
they'll sort it out. But they've got, she's done some pretty interesting financial moves, taken some moves in their central bank. So we shall see how this plays out. I think we're going to go into a really rough winter here in the States as well. Julia, how are you feeling about your portfolio?
Oh, I'm not. Yeah.
Gordon Smith, the pipeline sabotage is rather close to home here. However, there was no transport of gas. Yes, I know it was closed, but still now there isn't going to be any transport of gas anytime soon. Any other comments up above that we should look into, Julia? Is John walking to the airport, Gordon Smith saying? I don't think so. But he will be. Hi, Fritz Mueller down in Miami. You had some rain there, too. We have a great sport. See what Gordon Smith is saying? Couldn't agree more. We have a great sport. There is so much to offer for so many. And Luca Craig observing that he's in Auckland normally. I think it's also International Coffee Day tomorrow. John Emmett, sailing Get to the Front of the Fleet. Thank you for your regular contribution. He is our Sailing Illustrated contributor par excellence. Now, here is a new contributor. Do you know who that is, Julia? We use his name a lot. He's an Australian. He's doing a vacation. I guess with his family. That is the esteemed Greg Phillips.
Oh, it's Greg Phillips.
And he sent, inspired by John, he sent a walkabout video as well today.
Oh, nice.
G'day, Tom, Julia, and the fabulous Fosie. I'm here at Halifax, around at Hubbard's Bay, which is about a 40-minute drive from Halifax City. This is where they held the recent 49er World Championships and a few other classes as well. So if I just flick you across so you can have a look around, I'll find the button. I have to turn it around.
Yeah.
Beautiful, isn't it, Julia?
Absolutely. Wait, we drove that coast, but I haven't sailed it.
You would never believe there was nearly 400 boats here, but this is quite an amazing place. But there's this area here, which is just behind me, and the area next door is called the Hubbard's Bay Community Centre, Sailing Centre. So I'm thinking I'm in the right spot. According to the website it is. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, Halifax itself is just such a beautiful little city, right on the waterfront, which is the entrance to really the Nova Scotia Navy or the Canadian Navy. But also, yesterday we went to the Maritime Museum down on the waterfront, and it was just amazing because I could not believe the number of shipwrecks that had occurred over the last couple of 100 years during the discovery of Canada. Like literally thousands and thousands of these shipwrecks all along the Nova Scotia coast. And I can understand it too, because you can probably see in the background there the fog, which is lifted now, but when we first arrived you couldn't see 10 feet in front of you. It was just unreal, and all the drive here was just in complete fog. So anyway, this is from Hubbard's Bay in Halifax in Canada, Nova Scotia, Canada. So signing out now, and I'll try and do a report on the Rhode Island Newport America's Cup Museum that's been Tom's put me onto. Talk to you soon.
Greg Phillips, Bravo Zulu. Nice, inspired by John Emmett. Walkabout. We got Alistair. We got all these guys sending in videos. Got some more for you too. To say nothing of Bill Wingrove. So he is headed. Greg is headed to Newport, Rhode Island. I put him in touch with Heather Russom, who is the executive director of the Sailing Museum. The museum, was it Sailing Museum or the Museum of Sailing? And he's going to give us a little tour when he gets there, I think on October 10th. So thank you very much, Greg Phillips, Australian Fozy, who is obviously in Halifax and Nova Scotia, for that report. Beautiful. Ed Worley's thumbs up. Gordon Smith, beautiful, nice report indeed. And a lot of back and forth, not only the Brits, including Gordon Smith, but some others about their new prime minister. Yeah, nice report. Terrific stuff. Let's do a Bravo Zulu here. And we gave you a report. This is a long, almost 2-week regatta. It's now over. And this was the Hobie 16 Worlds, which was several different, women's event, men's event, mixed, youth. I can't remember what all. Once they get all those boats there on the beach, they carry on. But they're also doing fabulous video. I love this class, and I love their reporting.
After 14 days of competition and 5 series, this 23rd Hobie Cat 16 Worlds 2022 comes to an end here in San Pere Pescador.
El nivel que hay en las salidas, no puedes cometer un mínimo error, y si cometes ese mínimo error ya estás peleando por el lugar 30, ¿no?
The conditions look very tricky today, so we'll just get out there and do our best and see what happens.
¡Vamos! Vamos a dar todo al máximo.
Hobie Worlds!
We're very relieved and really happy. It's been fantastic. It's been 3 weeks of sort of on and off sailing, a lot of waiting, but on the water it's been hard work, and we're very happy to win it. It's come away.
We really enjoyed the process getting ready for the World Championships, and it's just been very exciting to be here with all of our friends and to do our best.
Somebody told us that there were more Hobie 16s in the world than any other boat.
I remember that, and I don't know if that's true. There are a lot of lasers, a lot of sunfish, a lot of opties, but there may be, because of all of the, beach catamarans at resorts all over the Caribbean, all over at least North America. I don't know how many in Europe, but there's a bunch of them, and it's provided a lot of fun for a lot of people, including, look at the number of Stingray and probably any number of others of you on here that have sailed Hobies, including me over the years. I've chaired the jury at their Worlds once, I think, maybe twice. And just a great class, and good to see a resurgence, I think. And you think about the logistics, Julie, of putting together a regatta. There's no club there. They send the boats in, ends up with a fleet. In fact, we're going to have a report from Alistair Murray, who is in Phuket in Thailand, where they ran the Tazar Worlds at a resort. Ended up with a fleet of Tazars there, and had to import the race committee, import everything. But these resorts love this. A lot of them do. And what a great sport!
And everybody who goes loves it.
Exactly. Clark Chapin could could be that there are more Hobie 16s than any other multi-handed boat. That's a good point.
Yes.
Good point, Clark Chapin. Jeff Ogle, who was in Annapolis, first time I was on a sailboat as a kid was a Hobie 16, scared the crap out of me. And yes, Jeff, if you ever want, don't wait for us to ask, because I'm so overwhelmed with doing this show just a couple days a week, plus whatever else I've got going on. If you'd say, hey, I'm going to go to the Annapolis Boat Show, is it next weekend? Because it's normally Columbus Day weekend, isn't it? Or Indigenous Peoples Day weekend here in the States. If you're going to be there and you want to do a walkabout at the show and send us a report, we'd love that, Jeff. We'd appreciate that very much. John Emmett, with those different colored sails, they could be set up for team racing. They may have even done some team racing. I know they had, looking at their website, there are a lot of different events, trophies at their worlds. Once they gather those boats, ship them into Spain in this case, on the Costa Brava. Nice report. Thank you very much, Hobie Class. Another nice report. One of my favorite yacht clubs, I'm a founding member of this club, is Stad Yacht Club up in Switzerland, believe it or not, when we were living in Europe. And someday I'll tell you the story, but the Stad Yacht Club does a lot of cool things down in the Med mostly. And the Kismet is the name of this yacht, won the Centenary Trophy, which is a big classic yacht event held during the Voile de Saint-Tropez, and that's if Andrew McIrvin is not there already. He's headed there shortly. But the British flag Kismet won the 11th edition of the Stad Yacht Club's Centenary Trophy, the traditional rendezvous at the Voile de Saint-Tropez for classic yachts aged 100 years or more. Kismet, which is an 1898 boat, it's a Fife design from memory, skippered by British Richard Matthews, has won the 2022 edition of the Stad Yacht Club Centenary Trophy. Would you say centenary or centenary?
Centenary.
Centenary.
I would say
You would. Okay.
centenary.
With only a tiny margin on Scud, which is a 1903 Hairsoft design, owned by Italian Patrizio Bertelli.
With Torben Grail.
With Torben Grail calling the tactics in second. You're a big fan of Torben Grail.
I am a big fan of
Has
Torben
he stayed
Grail.
here at the Beach Street Yacht Club?
I don't think
or
so.
One of his family?
Well, we've seen him here quite a lot.
At St. Fancy.
Yeah.
Well, this is a terrific event, and it's been going on for some years now. Scud was second, and Orioli, a 1905 yacht sailed by a young Spanish crew, completing the podium. Now, here's Scud, the runners-up. Oh, I want to go back. To that previous picture. You see who this is? Does anybody recognize? I saw him, and I texted him this morning, and I said, is that you in that boat on Kismet? And he gets around. This is Andy Green. Andy Green, a dear friend of mine for many, many years. He's had a terrific summer. He's won the Opera House. Yeah, Stingray can see it's Andy Green. Ed Worley, is that Andy Green hanging on the stern? Yes, you all got it because he wears white sunglasses. He and John Sangmeister always has a vest on. But he's won the Opera Cup. He's won the three other national championships in and around Newport, Rhode Island. So bravo Zulu, Andy Green, for a terrific summer that he's had. That's the aforementioned Scud team. They were runners-up. That's a 1903 Nathaniel Harrisoff, Bar Harbor 31. And you have to be a bit of a student of Harrisoff. That was not one of his more successful designs. But I found a picture, not from this year. It's from a couple of years ago. This is a Gilles Martin Raget photo. And Gilles, another dear friend, Fozy. I'm going to get him on to do a photo essay for us sometime soon. That is Scud on the left. It's a 2020 photo from that same event, I believe. And the P-class yacht Corinthian. It's a whole nother story there.
Yeah.
But the Centenary Trophy was raced on a 9 nautical mile course set in the Gulf of Saint-Tropez, with the start and finish line just off the breakwater to allow the public and the fans to admire the show of the old ladies battling for victory. After 2 days of strong Mistral, today this is a couple days ago, the Côte d'Azur provided with perfect sailing conditions, blue sunny skies, warm temperatures, and a westerly of around 15 knots. First across the starting line as per the Centenary Trophy's pursuit format, which is, I love the pursuit format, with staggered starts using an especially created and constantly refined handicapping system, allowing very different boats in size and rig to compete on equal terms. And the first finish was the gaff cutter Lulu, an 1897 design at 12:45, I guess was the time. Great stuff. And those of you who don't know what a pursuit start is, most of you, I'm sure, do. It's when they start the slower boats first, and literally by the second, maybe a minute, minute and a half, maybe a minute 22 later, the next slowest boat starts, and maybe 5 minutes later, another boat starts. This is the way San Diego Yacht Club, among others, runs their Hot Rum series down, a very popular series in SoCal in November and December, late November, early December. And whoever finishes first
wins.
You've built the handicap in at the start of the race.
It's really smart,
and it's really cool. Now, and you can say, well, it looks like here's the weather going to be, and we can adjust the time, but it's hard. You have to kind of go with it. But everyone has fun. You know who's won, and if you're in a fast boat and you're sailing through the fleet and you're picking them off, I've only won once a Hot Rum that's 3 races. I've won one of them as tactician aboard. It's okay. But as you're picking through the fleet and you're up to 5th, 4th, 3rd, can we get the last 2 boats?
Yeah.
Before we get it, it's a hoot.
Yeah.
Bravo Zulu to my favorite yacht club, Stad Yacht Club. And Clark Chabin saying, oh, do I mean Bahaba? The Bahaba. You can see on the sail the BH-12.
Yep.
Of Scud there on the left. Yeah, it was a Bahaba 31. Andrew McIrvin saying, well done, Richard Matthews. Yep. Mr. Oyster. And Andy, great party after. Sadly, as the week is now split with the Maxis second, so not there. Are you going down, Andrew? I thought you were going down. It's interesting how many people recognized Andy Green. That's his personal MO with his white vest and his white glasses. That's good.
Well, that's one way to do that.
Good stuff.
Because he obviously changes venue often enough.
Andrew is going tomorrow. He says he's going tomorrow, too. So he said, when he left here the other day, he said, do you want to report from Saint-Tropez? And I said,
of course.
Exactly. How could we be
yes.
so lucky to have one? And whether it's live or whether Andrew gives us a walk around a la John Emmett, or we do something pre-recorded ahead of time, but he said it's actually easier to do it in the evening. When we go live at 1, it's 10 o'clock CET, Central European Time, 2200.
Yeah.
He said that's easier than during the dinner hour.
Oh, yes.
So maybe we'll get him live next Tuesday. We'll see. Or next Friday. This day in history. This is a good one. I really had fun with this one. Do you know what happened on the 30th of September, 1659?
Oh, gosh. 1659.
Yeah, 200 years before the America's Cup.
1660.
Here's your first clue via Wikipedia.
Treasure Island. I mean,
you're maybe getting it. Keep trying.
Yeah,
1659. Sole shipwrecked yachtsman, sailor. Here's your next clue. Gordon Smith's got it. See, he got it. He's the first one.
Robinson Crusoe.
And Fog Machine got it. And there's your next clue. Daniel Defoe is that gentleman. He is the novelist. In fact, many give him credit for defining the Great British novel. He lived from 1660 to 1731, so he wrote the novel about Robinson Crusoe a year before he was born. Most famous for his novel, Robinson Crusoe, he is notable for being one of the earliest proponents of the novel as he helped to popularize the form in Britain and is among the founders of the English novel. A prolific and versatile writer, he wrote more than 500 books, pamphlets, and journalists on various topics. Luca Craig says Tom Hanks. There was going to be another clue in case you all didn't get that. That is that's the Isle of Despair. Somebody says that hairstyle needs to make a comeback, Jeff Ogle.
Yes.
That is the Isle of Despair, which is in the book. It's a drawing from the book, I believe. Robinson Crusoe, a plantation owner whose heart belonged to the sea despite both of his prior voyages ending in disaster, joined an expedition to procure slaves from Africa in the mid-17th century, according to the novel. Mm. This, too, would end badly when the ship was destroyed in a storm 40 miles out from port. Crusoe was the vessel's sole human survivor in the novel, alongside the captain's dog and 2 cats, washing ashore on what he would name the Isle of Despair near the mouth of what river?
Orinoco.
Orinoco River on September 30th, 1659. Now, where do you think the Orinoco River is?
South America.
Exactly. Well done. Well done. Did you read Robinson Crusoe?
No, I've been in the Orinoco. Yes, I have read Robinson Crusoe, but I wouldn't have remembered the river name from
Well,
there.
it's spelled differently in Spanish, but there it's in Venezuela, as great Harry Anderson, Commodore Anderson would have said. And it's in the northeast corner of Venezuela. And people think that it was the island of Trinidad, which is now Trinidad and Tobago, that island which he was memorializing in his novel, and whether or not it was, but it was the life and strange, surprising adventures of Robinson Crusoe, who lived 8 and 20 years all alone in an uninhabited island. That must have been fascinating for English readers, British readers in those days. The central message, do you know what the central message of that book was?
Survival.
Survival. Not only does Crusoe have to physically survive on the island by securing food, water, and shelter, but he also has to develop his self-confidence to survive so he doesn't give up hope of a rescue.
That's all true.
I mean, that's the way I am every day. I'm giving up. I don't give up hope for a rescue.
Yep. It's coming. It's coming.
I've been rescued by you, Julie, among others. Great Enya song, Orinoco Flow. Replying, they're back and forth. Okay, so that is the historic event today. It's supposedly on this day. We haven't answered the question. This day in history is in 1659 is the date ascribed by the author to Robinson Crusoe being shipwrecked, according to Daniel Defoe in his famous novel, This Day in History. Okay, thanks to JFB and the superb OK Dinghy class. We have a report now from that class. They get the Robert Deves, who's their PR guy, also does it for the 5.5 meter class and the Finn class and maybe some others. They do a fabulous job with their PR. I think their event ends tomorrow, but Bo Peterson has taken the lead on an epic third day. Look at the conditions at the OK Dinghy Europeans in Bandal. And it was Bo from Denmark has taken the lead at the Société Nautique de Bandal in France and sits on equal points with Stefan de Vries from the Netherlands, while Britain's Nick Craig is up to third, just 4 points back. Peterson won 2 races on Friday before de Vries, that's today, won the final race of the day. 2 races remain tomorrow, Saturday. And, you know, they get the stuff out. And when they get it out and they're in Europe, I can use it. And look at this fabulous photo.
Yeah. Oh, it is. The sea is I mean, it's foreshortened, but it's really impressive.
It is indeed. Robert Deves of their class PR is the one who also goes out on the water and takes these photos, goes in, gets them out to the media. And thanks again, James Bland, for getting the link to me. Nick Craig is in the background. He is chasing Stefan de Vries from the Netherlands. De Vries?
Vries, probably.
Probably Vries. And I don't know, in Dutch, German, it would be De Vries. But fantastic photos. And on top of that, there's a video. Have a look.
Wow.
Third day of racing, couldn't be better. I mean, the scene out there was just like the French Champagne, the big waves, even bigger than anyone could imagine. The wind was around 16 knots and it picked up to 25, 28 knots. So it was, it was champagne sailing. It's been a good day. 2 bullets and a third. If I'm lucky. I haven't seen the results yet. So, nice to be in France, southern France. It's big fun. It couldn't be better. I mean, big waves, sunshine, and a lot of breeze. It's so good.
Yeah, another amazing day of racing. Big waves. I think we started in 15, 16 knots in the first race. Again, the guys pushing a lot. I was, fortunately, I'm fast upwind. Unfortunately, I'm a little bit rusty downwind, so I need to be fast as well. I think we're quite point close in the front, so tomorrow will be an exciting day. There's a lot of fast guys in the front, new guys coming, and it's very interesting to see. People are pushing new material, new techniques, and everybody's fit and going for it. So it's really good, good fun to sail in this class.
Okay, Dinghy, International Association, I think is what that stands for. Thanks again, James Bland, JFB, and Robert Deves in that fantastic class.
Yes.
As we move ahead now to Correct or Crutonic. And I don't know what to think of this. I'll let you all decide, because I found this very surprising, if not a bit disturbing. World Sailing revealed the nominations a couple days ago, maybe yesterday, but earlier this week, for the World Sailor of the Year Awards, which will be awarded at their AGM in a couple months. World Sailing is very proud to announce the finalists in this year's Rolex World Sailor of the Year Awards. A short list of sailors or crews, including world champions, Olympic medalists, and world record holders, represent the wide range of disciplines in our beloved sport of sailing and will be voted on by the World Sailing member national authorities, the international sailing community, fans, and public to decide a male and female winner. Voting for the awards will open, it opened earlier this week on the 27th of September, alongside voting for the World Sailing 11th Hour Sustainability Awards. Rolex World Sailor of the Year Awards are recognized as the highest award a sailor can receive in recognition, twice in the same sentence, recognition of their outstanding achievements by the world of sailing. This year's awards will be presented during the World Sailing Awards Tuesday, 25th October in Abu Dhabi. There was a word salad of a sentence. The winners will have their name engraved on the iconic marble and beautiful trophy depicting the globe and crowned with 5 silver spinnakers representing the continents, as well as a custom Rolex timepiece, don't call me a watch, to mark the occasion. Here are the finalists, as decided by a panel of sailors and journalists. Female category, Eline Noosman from France, Odile Van Aanholt and Annette Deutz from Netherlands. We reported on them. Caterina Mariana Bonti from Italia. Male category, Ruggero Tita. Those last two of the Tornado class duo. Jean-Baptiste Barnaz from France. Nicolas Goyard from France, and Bert Lambry. How do you say that in French, or in Dutch? I guess Flemish.
I don't know.
Bart Lambry and Floris van der Werken from the Netherlands. Now, do you see anybody from the U.S.,
Nope.
Canada, North America, South America, Australia, or New Zealand there?
No.
Gordon Smith, first to observe, seems to be very European-oriented at first glance, obvious. Yeah, it was a bit, I thought so too, Eurocentric, as they might say. Here's the judging panel, the esteemed Shirley Robertson. And down the list of Europeans, there is Santiago Langa from South America, former Olympic champion, and the editor who calls himself a journalist, the editor of Scuttlebutt News, Craig Lewick. No Australian or no Antipodean, no Australian or New Zealand journalists or sailors in the list, and only one American, one South American, and the rest European. And I am a bit surprised, I don't know how the rest of you feel, but I'm a bit surprised that they were all European nominees. I mean, you've got some other Tom Slingsby and others, and I guess they're trying to spread it around. And Tom's won it once or twice. I can't remember how many times. But I for one, was surprised by the list and the fact that there were no Antipodeans, no Americans, North Americans, or even South Americans in the list. Tell me what you think. Time will tell who will win this year's Rolex Works Sailor of the Year. Thanks, Judy Shields. Julia, what's your thought?
Yeah, the world will be voting on it.
Yeah. Well. Oh, Joe, thank you, Jody. Yeah, Joe is from New Zealand. You're right. Thank you for that. What did they? Yeah, she is from New Zealand. So there is one Antipodean on the list of judges, but none in the list of sailors. I find that a little strange. I can think of some offhand from both North America and either Australia and or New Zealand. So what do you all think? Nobody's taking a view, so maybe it's fine. Is it correct or crutonic? Nobody seems too fussed.
Disappointing.
Is it disappointing?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's right. Maybe they're the best current of the current crop.
Maybe they are.
Okay. Nobody seems too fussed.
Yep.
We'll carry on. Now, is this correct? Before we leave correct or crutonic, I posted this on my Facebook page the other day, and some of you thought it was photoshopped.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jody, Aussies and Kiwis are too busy winning the sailing events to win the award. Who would you nominate from the Americas? Steve Gruber's asking. Well, I can think of any number of people I would nominate from the Americas, but let's let it go at that. You all don't seem too fussed, so perhaps it's correct. Is this photo correct or crutonic? Is this photoshopped?
No.
And Andrew McIrvin points out what I also he's absolutely right. There are no offshore sailors either, not that they ever win. WS is focused on Olympic classes.
Mm-hmm.
That's not Fog Machine. That's not correct. It's co-woke. Oh gosh, is this photo photoshopped? Is it the real thing? Nice photo though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fun.
Is it two girls?
I don't.
Not that it matters. Clark Chapin, it might say that at this point in the Sail GP, the race, and the Olympic cycles, the nominees may well be European. Yeah, well, maybe. Is this correct or correct? It's a beautiful picture, right?
Yep.
But I will admit to, at the suggestion of one of our foes, he asked not to be. It is, Ed. It is Ed Worley's right. It is the real deal. But here is I photoshopped Ken. You see that, Julia? Watch that. I photoshopped Ken onto the back end of the blue boat. Somebody said that's Ken and Barbie.
Mm-hmm.
The Barbie dolls, the Ken doll. The photo is real. Gordon Smith, it's a nice Danish photo. But, okay, so much for correct or crutonic. And you notice today we haven't talked at all about alcohol. I know that you're all going to think there's something wrong with us because this is Sailing Illustrated, the drinking show.
And Oktoberfest is upon us.
And we are into Oktoberfest. There was an Oktoberfest at the St. Francis Yacht Club last night that we did not go to. But those of you in München and Munich, I'm sure you're having a good time. If you're just joining us, we're about an hour and 9 minutes into our show number 556.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have a report, talk about superb sailors and superb racing, great communication. And not only that, in their television, which is equally superb, in the 52 Super Series, they use knots. They don't use kilometers per hour or miles per hour.
Mm-hmm.
And they use low point scoring.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. Maybe this is a way to get a lot of viewers for our sport. Their stuff, meaning their output, their media output is terrific. Watch this. From today, by the way.
Wow.
Penultimate day of racing here, incredibly tight at the top. It's going to be all to play for today and tomorrow to decide who's going to win the Royal Cup. There's going to be a little bit of waiting until the breeze settles in. Meanwhile, at the top of the table for the season title, it's all square between Quantum Racing and Phoenix. Tom Slingsby and Terry Hutchison, both from American Magic.
The Phoenix team is really well sailed, and yeah, they don't make a lot of mistakes. It's one of the few boats in the fleet that possesses the ability to round the top mark in 6th or 7th and turn it into a 3rd.
It's great that we're so close and racing. We're all tied up at the moment. It's pretty cool, but we've got a lot of racing to go, and Sled are starting to eat away into our lead, so the 2-horse race might turn into a 3-horse race soon.
But we're talking about at the end in Barcelona, who's going to be on top of the standings?
I guess I got to say my boss. It's probably going to be Terry.
He is the boss. He is the boss. Yeah, I've got to be a little careful sometimes out there. No, that's not the truth, actually. I'm going for him just as hard as anyone.
So race 7 starts in a building breeze. It's only 8 or 9 knots on the start line. 1.7 mile beat. Quantum Racing lead up the early part of the beat and get round ahead and build a big lead down the first run. Platoon get through them to lead through the leeward gate. But there's a big shift or an increase in pressure on the right side of the course, which is recognised by Preveza coming up the second beat. So they lead round the top turn and through the finish line. Preveza winning. Platoon get through in second, Allegra third and Sled in fourth. So Platoon go 2-1-2 over the last 3 races and Sled extend their lead to 6 points at the top of the table. So the second race of the day, the breeze is round about 15 knots but fading over the course of the race. Quantum Racing have a big lead all the way around the first beat and down through the first leeward gate. Value get back in the second beat and get up to second, but Sled lose out in the shifty conditions and drop to 6th. So Quantum Racing finally seal a race win, their first here in Scarlino. Value gets second, but down in 6th then Sled still lead into the final day by a single point.
I think if you saw the results, it was a pretty tough day. We fought back a couple of times and then dropped back a couple of times. But, we have to take the positives away from the day, and we made some good moves.
I'm a little bit angry about the first race because we deserve better than that. But, it's nice to get smacked in the teeth and then come back and follow it up with a win. Sled's beaten us by a point, but the goal was always to go into the last day of racing with an opportunity to win the regatta, and we've done that. And so tomorrow it's up to us.
So leaders of the Royal Cup are Sled with 27 points going into the final day. Second are Quantum Racing on 28. Third are Phoenix on 31. So big Saturday showdown here in Scarlino in Prospect. Sled leading by a single point from Quantum Racing on one of the most challenging race courses of the season.
Yeah, good thing you said something nice about him, Julia. Oh, he looks fat. He's lost weight. Julia forgot her mic was up. Let's be honest, this is not racing that is designed for the general public, so it doesn't need its message managing. However, personally, I love it. Gordon Smith, totally agree. And wow, sailing in, Ed Worley saying, wow, sailing in open water with the crew, working the boat and maneuvering, sail changes, and no Game Boy controllers. John Emmett saying Andy needs to take a break. I think Andy Robertson does a terrific job. And the fact that, again, they get this stuff out before, about an hour before, because it takes me time to stick this stuff all into the keynote and have a program for you all. So the fact that I get it, and I got that OK Dinghy stuff from Robert Deves, it's amazing when a class does this. Not 2 days later, which is what so many of them do.
Yes, it's fabulous.
The audio level, I was saying to Julia, just not to nerd on here, but for all of you who are producing stuff, I can see on my meters here on the I'm watching all the parameters and how many frames we've missed in the show that's gone on for an hour and 14 minutes now. But I can see the peak audio levels, and I can see the average audio levels, and they do it just right. And they're also, if you hear their music is down, so many people running music on backs of with audio, with vocal rather, and then music. You don't need the music because it's so much fuller than a voice. And they bring the music up, and it's so loud. And they keep the music down, 5-10 decibels lower than the voice, which we try to do here too, if you haven't noticed. But bravo Zulu to them. and Bravo Zulu to their scoring system, which is low point scoring. This is the result so far. 2 more races tomorrow, 9 and 10. And you can tell immediately how sled is doing. They're 1 point ahead of Quantum. And it's easy to figure out low point scoring. And if golf can do it, why doesn't every sailing event do it? Because everyone understands golf low point scoring. So why don't we have sailing low point scoring? Not high point scoring. Excuse me. Am I wrong, Julia?
I don't see the difference.
You don't? Well, here's the difference. You're out there. Sled knows that they got to stay ahead of Quantum. They've only got a 1 point lead.
Yep.
And you count, you know that if you get a first, you're going to take a point. And you don't have to figure out, well, I'm going to get 9 points or 10 points and start adding 10 to my score if I finish first. It's a lot easier to say, I've got a first, so I'm going to have 28 points. They've got a third, they're going to have 31 points. That is Quantum. Or vice versa. If Quantum says, okay, we're in first place, so that means we're going to have 29 points at the end of this race. We can see that Sled's down in fourth place. They're going to have 31 points. It's so much easier to calculate. You don't agree? Well, you went to Stanford.
I don't know.
Were you a math major?
I like
at Stanford?
big numbers.
Huh? Well, see, that's right. You've hit the nail on the head. That's what Russell Coates, he wants to see big scores that look like Formula One points. Crutonic. TP-72s for the America's Cup, Ed Worley. Yep. TP-52 Stingray saying offer awesome racing. Seems like sound went out. Did the sound go out? Anybody else lose sound? Looks good here on my end. You're spot on target. Thanks, Joe Holzman. I tend to go for minus 24 dB for music, minus 14 dB for voice. Yes, that's right, John Emmett, and you're sounding better than ever. I like that there are no drops. Exactly right. There's no throwout races. Even simpler. Good point. Jody Shields says everyone does the same thing. What would we all have to complain about?
Yes.
The 4.5 in the score system must have been a penalty. Gladiator must have gotten some kind of a penalty from the jury in race 8, down there in 8th place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, apparently there was a praying today. Didn't I see Andrew McIrvin say that there was a praying? What did he say here? Where's his comment?
I didn't read that.
I saw him passing through there. Interlodge and Gladiator had a crash.
Yeah.
So Gladiator must have gotten some kind of a fail to avoid penalty in that race. Yeah, see, that makes sense then. Okay, Bravo Zoo. That series continues through tomorrow, October 1st, Saturday the 1st. 2 more races. Great stuff that they're doing. And there's a whole bunch of sailors on there that are superb sailors. Kiwis, Aussies, Norte Americanos, who probably deserve at least to be nominated, Julia. Even if they're not going to win it, if they're going to take Olympic sailors, and because world sailing is Olympic-centric, at least I agree with Andrew McIrvin. You would at least think that the panel would have said, hey, guys, we don't have an offshore sailor in here.
Yeah.
There's plenty of excellent, it's kind of apples and oranges in some ways, but we all have an offshore sailor, and can't we find anybody who's had a terrific year, who's Antipodean or in the Americas, north or south?
It's just likely that they don't know so many other people.
Good point. But they've got the records.
They
ought to put McIrvin on there, for example.
Yeah.
Put Andrew McIrvin on there, the esteemed Secretary General of the IMA, and he could say, well, we've got this owner who's won the Middle Sea race X many years in a row, this, that, and the other thing, and did this in the Sydney Hobart, and maybe did this in the Bermuda race, or we don't use, Clark is saying, we don't use 3/4 for first anymore because the tie-breaking scheme will always come to the same ranking without that pesky 1/4 of a point. Exactly. Andrew's saying, no, Gladiator won the protest. Interesting. Okay. D. Kafari knows the offshore. You would think, Andrew McIrvin, but you would know it even better, if I do say so myself. And of course I do.
And of course you do.
America's Cup, we promised a bit of an America's Cup update. We're not going to get into the weeds on this yet. I'm going to find somebody who really understands it well and can tell us about this notice of race, which has been issued for the youth and women's America's Cups. Suffice to say, on this graphic, there's 2 pools of boats. One pool are the teams entered in the America's Cup: ETNZ, Ineos, Alinghi, Luna Rossa, American Magic, New York Yacht Club's American Magic, and whoever Team 7, assuming the French, I guess that's that placeholder there. And out of Pool A will come 3 teams. These are the youth and the women. and out of Pool B, which are additional teams which are not affiliated with the America's Cup teams, and 3 teams will come out of Pool B, and then they've got a scheme down here. A1 will race B2, B1 races A3, and A2, Pool A2 races out of B3, and somehow they get into a match race, a single match race at the end, which will determine the winners of both the youth and the women's America's Cups. So the notice of race is out. I haven't read it. I haven't studied it. The chart was helpful, was useful. A lot of parameters, hugely expensive, by the way. Boats are provided. The boats are provided, at least for the teams. Whoops, where am I here? Over here, the Pool B boats are provided. These teams will have their own. I don't know if they're going to mix them up, mix and match, how they're going to do it, but somebody on here will. Stingray thinks Team 7 will be the Spanish team. You think? I think it's the French America's Cup team if they come through. I think they've filed a challenge. One here's the K Candler have filed a challenge, but they haven't paid their money yet. And their backer was apparently a Bitcoin. It was a crypto.
Oh, that's
crypto.
too bad.
Yeah, it was a crypto guy, so he may be feeling the pinch, sort of like your portfolio. Okay, how about winner of the Bermuda race? You know, Fritz Mueller. I don't know if he wants me to call him Mueller. How about the winner of the Bermuda race in a Cal 40? Totally agree. Stan Honey, Julie, at least you would have thought after his hugely successful career, he would have at least been nominated. And I'll bet you if McIrvin were on that.
Has he never been nominated?
I don't know. Not that I know of. Maybe he's been nominated. I don't believe he's won it, but he certainly would be somebody who is both a big boat sailor and a meaning from the Americas, who would be deserving and a popular, at least nominee. Okay, so the women and youth America's Cup notice of race have been issued. We'll find somebody who really knows the deal and will come on and fill us in. This is the graphic I thought was interesting. Apparently they are going to have a team from BCN, which, as you probably all know, is the airport code for Barcelona. And interesting, they use this graphic. And by the way, do you see up here this little graphic?
Mm-hmm.
They're now not calling it America's Cup 37 or America's Cup 2024. They're calling it America's Cup, you can see.
Barcelona.
What do you think of that, Julia?
I think it's okay.
Well, they must have, to get the money out of Barcelona, they must have promised them. It must be part of the contractual deal to call it America's Cup Barcelona.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fritz Mueller, more like a Lifetime Achievement Award. Yeah, okay, I like the sound of that. Emmett is saying, I don't know the sailors class, as Gordon Smith is saying, but are the World Sailing Sailor of the Year nominees all Olympic class sailors? Ed Worley saying, yeah, follow the dollars. Doesn't that graphic say 37th? It does, but in the bold, it says 37th in very fine print. It does indeed, just below the cup. You barely see it. But at Barcelona in bold, and that's fine. It says 37th America's Cup, Barcelona. So, but it's interesting they've got Barcelona in there. Good eye, Steve Gruber. Thank you for that. And here is the bigger news, I think, than the NOR for those two events, is that the AC40 is continuing to test. Returning to New Zealand from the European Summer Circus, you notice they didn't call it Sail GP. Pete Burling and Blair Tuke wasted no time in rejoining the extensive Kiwi testing program, this is a Kiwi AC37 ETNZ release, stepping aboard ETNZ's AC40 for a blustery first taste of the most sensational boat of 2022. Well, okay, you say so. Nathan Outeridge, who's been steering the One Pod during the initial outings alongside Olympic bronze medalist Sam Meach, were again on board for an intense afternoon session, having craned in at 11:30 a.m. and docked out just an hour later with the rig set for the tow to the sailing area. Notwithstanding that Nathan was also sailing in Sail GP and has been. This is Magnus, the Magnificent, writing now, I guess full-time or nearly so, for AC Media. And then we have a nice video, very nice video, with Blair Tuke. Have a look.
Mr. Tuke, first day sailing the AC40. Can you just give us your first impressions of the boat? What's it like?
Yeah, it was pretty epic. Obviously the first bit of commissioning the other guys did, so Pete and I just rocked back this morning and straight into it. Awesome day. Sort of northeast, like 15 to maybe even 18 knots or something. So yeah, straight into it. But yeah, weapon to like have it just 3 days in and just being able to push it like that's pretty cool.
Definitely. No, we watched you guys. I mean, by my tally, you did 13 tacks and only one of them you touched down in. You agree with that? Sound about right?
Yeah, both manoeuvres pretty well, pretty easy in the manoeuvres. So,
and 9 jibes and all of them were flawless. So upwind, you looked like you had quite a high mode today. If you wouldn't mind us telling what you're tacking through from high to high sort of thing?
Yeah, roughly around 45, 50 sort of thing. Yeah, 50 okay. Probably. We were sort of just pushing it a bit more in the fast mode today compared rather than up on the angle. But yeah, around about roughly 30 knots and yeah.
And 45 a
yeah, maybe a little bit wider, but yeah. It was not bad.
Not bad. We noticed 2 stuff-ins, and we're wondering, are you running on the autopilot or are you using the manual flight control?
Yeah, we were still working on the autopilot, so we tried just finding a few more waves. We were sort of tucked in behind Waiheke for a bit there, and then we just tried to find a few more waves in Shark Alley, and then the Waiheke ferry, we lined that up beauty, which was intentional, but yeah, we had a couple of little stuff-ins there, but we were just trying to push it up. I mean, they're pretty hard waves coming from Seljupi and Cuddy, so watching that spin like that, it was like that or a bit more, so yeah, it was challenging.
Challenging, yeah. Well, we noticed that the car ferry puts off a decent weight. It's got to be a 2 metre kind of peak to trough ocean kind of swell, and yeah, you were driving the boat hard onto the wave and just seeing where it would drop, or it was sort of normal sailing mode and letting.
No, we literally lined up right on the right, like on the wave, yeah, on the face, and just tried to see how long we lasted in it. But no, it was a good test. I mean, guys doing the autopilot learned a lot today. Refinements from the other days, and yeah, I think all in all really cool.
The question that we're wanting to know, being huge fans, the comparison between this and an F50, you know, upwind, this thing would have it, downwind maybe the other way around?
Yeah, probably a little bit like, something like that. Yeah. But this is obviously pretty quick. But I think the thing that impressed me the most is the work that's gone in from the guys. It's an awesome package. So you know, it's going to be with a little more refinement. It's going to be great for the youth and Women's America's Cup, and a good platform for the teams, I think, about to do their testing on as well.
Now, when you guys turn this into your LEQ 12. Will you do much rig work? Is there talk of a non-one design rig, or are you going to stay with what you've got there?
Oh, we'll wait and see for that. Still a little bit of it away, but yeah, we'll still wait and see on that one.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Hey, thank you very much.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, man.
Well, I thought that was interesting. There was a couple revelations in there. Nobody really knows how fast these boats are going to be relative once they're all waked up. Mm-hmm. Autopilots, I don't think they're going to race with autopilots, but they might have auto flight control one here. We shall see. We'll get somebody on who's really knowledgeable to update us on all that in due course. Now we have Ed Worley's latest Cup History Challenge. It's it's a bit of a it's a bit of a what's the word I want?
Back in history?
Yeah, it's not back in history. It's a bit of a trivia is the word I was looking for. I get an hour and a half into the show, and you can see I start having old-timers disease. But Ed Worley is a question for today. Thanks, Ed. Which America's Cup yacht was nicknamed the Hippo? And this could go any time in history, from way back to all the way up to recent times. Any idea, Julie?
Not an America's Cup boat.
Does anybody know what boat was nicknamed Clipper? Steve Gruber's asking. No. Boy, the latency is very, very or the delay, very little today. Mm-hmm. Very short. Crew dials in the ride height and trim they want. The autopilot then obeys. Bye, Fritz Mueller. He's got to leave. Have a nice weekend, Fritz. Clipper. No, it wasn't Clipper. Clipper, the 12-meter for the 1980 Cup. Replying to Gordon Smith. Dreadful. Yeah, okay. The one with the Bustles blisters, J. Frederick Bland, I think is Facebook user. You want a clue? Here's a clue. This is I purposely put this photo, which is
Yeah.
that Ed Worley sent us, so you can't quite make the name out on the side. Come on, you Brits must know. There's a clue. France 3, no Steve Gruber. Blurry, yes, so intentionally. So here's a little bit better view of the same boat and indeed the keel. Does that help? Greg Phillips says 1987, but I can't think of the name. The Swedish boats. Think, Ed Worley, you really got them going on this one. Nope. John Rogers. Hello, John. Checking in. Are you down in San Diego, John? As esteemed coach. Oh, we got an Amazon package, I would say. Mm-hmm. It's got a double chin. Yes, it does. You see the good eye. See the double chin here? And the strange keel, and it's Crusader. Which Crusader? Good eye, white Crusader. Recognize any of those guys? Eddie Warden Owen on the right. Answer: the Royal Thames Yacht Club Challenge, led by Harold Cudmore, was a challenger in the 1987 America's Cup Series in Perth, Freel, WA. The challenge built 2 new 12s, the first boat, White Crusader K24, designed by Ian Howlett, followed the conventional theme in the design path of all the challengers with a wing keel and refined hull design for the Perth conditions. The second boat, White Crusader 2 K25, was a radical design designed by David Holland, front left in that photo above in the upper right corner. Unfortunately, the British Challenger ran out of time and resources to bring K25 to her full potential. The Hippo. Mm-hmm. So some of you got it. Where Crusader N, where N is the energy. Okay, well, thanks for that. Much appreciated, Ed Worley, for that trivia question, the FOSI Challenge on the America's Cup. And we also have today, as promised, Alistair's.
Oh, good.
Aussie, awesome Aussie anecdote, and it's actually 2 videos. From Phuket in Thailand.
Greetings, Tom, Julia, and all the FOSI from beautiful Phuket in Thailand. I'm here because of sailing. In 2007, I think it was, that we ran a world title for the Taizars here at Cape Panwa in Phuket, and it fell on the shoulders of a few of us because I think at that time Japan was supposed to host the Worlds and for whatever reason couldn't do it. So 4 of us in Australia put up our hands and said, well, we'll run a world title. How hard can it be? And rather than run in Australia, we thought, well, seeing it's not really an Australian Worlds, let's do it somewhere a little bit different. So we had the idea of doing it at a tropical resort, and we looked at Thailand, and we discovered this beautiful resort here called Cape Panwa. Now, this was a hell of a feat because there is no local fleet, not a single Taizar here, no yacht club, no facilities, only a resort. So we imported a lot. We freighted everything in. We freighted in 60 Taizars, and in actual fact, one of the byproducts of it is we left a local fleet in existence here because about 6 or 8 boats didn't go home. They stayed here and formed the basis of a local fleet, which was a great achievement. So we freighted in boats, marks, the race committee, all management for the regatta, all equipment, everything, and did it from scratch. As I said, we had 60 boats, which wasn't the biggest turnout for a Worlds ever, but it was still a pretty good regatta. It was a fantastic regatta, in fact. Everybody who came to it said it was the best Worlds that they'd ever done. So that was a pretty good accolade. I note that the Seattle Worlds have just been completed. Congratulations to Dalton and Lindsay Bergen, who won it. And I note that Jonathan and Libby McKee were second, and in fact they won the Worlds here in Thailand, Phuket. So I sailed with my daughter Claire. We sailed the good ship Clairvoyant, And being well past my peak already by that time, I'd set myself a goal of finishing in the top 10 out of the 60. And guess where we came? 10th. so we're pretty happy with that. We achieved our somewhat modest goal. So this
okay,
was,
so he's really raised a very interesting point. And I'm going to run another video in a moment showing the villa they're in. But yeah, Stingray St. Jonathan, Libby McKee, who are up from Seattle, superb sailors in this country.
So we fell in love with.
And the idea, Clark Chapin knows, a lot of people know, running a regatta by remote control off someplace. You take the boats, the race committee, everything, go to resort.
The reason we got married,
Back to Alistair.
If we get married in Australia, there'll be 300 rat bags turn up to the yacht club for our wedding. So let's elope, let's run away and do it offshore. So we decided to have it in Phuket, and 120 people turned up from around the world. All those freeloading friends of ours, they all came. And we had an absolutely fantastic party, wedding party that lasted for 5 or 6 days. 5 years later, it was back for our anniversary with about 20 family and friends. And here 12 years later, just the two of us, here for our 10th wedding anniversary at the same resort, but we're joining, I've got the whole family joining me tomorrow actually, where we're going to be spending time at another resort. It's sad to see walking around here, actually, just a bit of a comment on the area. It's a beautiful place. There's such beautiful people. And it's sad to see when you walk around the shops and all the little businesses that I've seen over the last 12 years. I'm talking about restaurants and spas and cafes, little retail establishments, all closed or mostly closed. It's really sad, and all I can think is that it's a hangover from the pandemic, and they're still struggling. So we're doing our bit. Come and spend your money here. It's a wonderful part of the world, wonderful people. We're doing our bit. As Tracy's idea of camping is staying at the Holiday Inn rather than the Ritz. That's camping for her. I've done a separate video of the place that we're staying at here, which I've also sent to Tom. He may choose to show it just for a little bit of fun. And that's my contribution for AAAA for this week. So cheers everybody from Phuket. I'm having a great time, beautiful and warm. Hope you're having a good time where you are too. See you guys. Bye.
The Sailing Illustrated travelogue.
Yes.
But I'm going to run the second video.
Oh,
because
good.
The second video is showing the villa. Have you spent any time in Phuket?
I have not. I've been close enough because I spent a lot of time in Bangkok, and you can just go up there. But I never made it.
Okay, so here is Alistair's next video, and giving a quick look around at their villa. I thought this was fascinating. I want to go more than ever.
A really quick tour of the villa that we're staying at in Phuket. So just coming out of the lift, this is on the top floor of our villa, and I'll tell you the story as we go, but I'll do it relatively quickly so that we get it all in. But this is into the bedroom, which is, as you can see, is a bit of a mess. There's my gorgeous wife here on the bed, Tracy. We're celebrating our 12th, actually, was our 10th wedding anniversary by coming here, but we're 2.5 years late thanks to COVID. This is the view from there. So this is the back of the bed area here. Magnificent room. The view continues. I think it's pretty close to a 360-degree view, but it's probably maybe 320. Bathroom. Hope I'm not making you all seasick. Bathroom again, and then we go into the living room of our unit. This might flare out with all the sun, but this is more of the view of the Andaman Sea where we sailed the Tazar Worlds back in whenever that was. That was 15 or 16 years ago. This is our kitchen area, which is unbelievable, as you can see.
Really, we'll wrap it here, but you can see it's a beautiful setup.
Yep.
And not expensive, apparently, according to Alistair. And big pools. I think it reminds me a little bit of Hamilton Island, but I'm sure it's a lot less expensive than it is at Hamilton Island up in the northeastern corner of Australia. But look at this beautiful spot.
Which is 18 metres long. I swam 1 kilometre in that yesterday, and we'll do that, make sure I do that every day. Somewhere to hang out outside. As you can see, the view, absolutely drop dead gorgeous. But that's just one floor of this place. So as I said, we booked it 10 years ago. we booked it for 2 years ago, for a 10-year anniversary, and we didn't make it. But here we are, and we're catching up with the whole family in another resort in Phuket in a couple of days from now. So this is also our unit. So going down the stairs, this is getting ridiculous. Tracy said don't fall down the stairs. That would be a good idea to not do that. So yeah, this is all our place. And down into the lobby area of our own unit. We'll open this door and we go in here to a little mini bar here. Area, beautiful bedroom. With an ensuite here. I just about fell down the stairs. Tracy told me not to. And the view from the balcony of this room.
So you can see it's really a fabulous spot. What would impress me, Julie, is the bar in each bedroom.
Well, you don't want to have to run up and downstairs.
You don't. No, there's a bar in each bedroom right behind the bed.
Right.
So nice stuff, and you got to admire Alistair. He finds great things. He has great fun with his family, involves his family and friends. And next time, Alistair, you go there, we all want to be invited. There's enough room for all of the Fozy, I think. If we bring our sleeping bags anyway, we could stay there, Julia, couldn't we?
Absolutely.
Nice spot. And I'm sure they're still suffering from COVID and more. There's been a little bit of political unrest in Thailand too, with King and so on.
Phuket got closed down during the pandemic.
Did they?
Yeah. And of course the King didn't help anything.
Let's go back to Alistair's wrap up here.
The whole family in a couple of days elsewhere in Phuket. All right, folks, that's it. Signing out. Having a great time. Bye.
Thank you, Alistair. Another terrific report from Alistair.
Absolutely.
Oh, I used to know it says not. My graphics department. I got to, Julie. Would you talk to the graphics department?
I'll call them.
Call them and see why the hell that knot is still in there. I thought that was gone. That's not correct. It was Alistair's awesome Aussie anecdote. Much appreciated. I'm just looking live at Key West, where a couple days ago it was really rough and flooded.
Yeah.
Things look just back to normal, and hopefully we know the loss of property loss is pretty horrific all across the state. Hope the loss of life is not too bad. It's going to be bad, but any loss of any life is bad, Julia. Right?
Right.
Yep. Alistair, thank you very much indeed. Comments coming in. Stingray, Phuket, and Bangkok sound amazing. I've flown through Bangkok, but I've never spent any time in Thailand other than transiting the airport.
Yeah. I had a friend whose husband was the LA Times reporter for Southeast Asia. And I spent about a month with her.
In Bangkok?
In Bangkok.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You've been around.
I have.
You have been around.
That was the point.
That was the point. And we have got Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, and this also from Alistair. It's an old photo, and that's, when you've got a 505, you've got to get to the regatta. So you put it on top of your Mini, and away you go.
Yep.
I'm not sure I'd want to buy that Mini if it had too many miles in that configuration. Greg Phillips saying they prefer Hua Hin. Is that how you pronounce that, Greg? Hua Hin over Phuket. Nice photo. And then just one kind of lighter one. A man said to us, this from Greg Phillips, speaking of Greg, a man who said to his wife one day, "I don't know how you can be so stupid and so beautiful all at the same time." The wife responded, "Allow me to explain. God made me beautiful so you would be attracted to me. God made me stupid so I would be attracted to you."
That does it.
And that from Greg Phillips. Thanks for sending that in, Greg, and your videos. Nice. It's also, Julia, nice to meet people. We know what John looks like by now, whether he's clean shaven or not.
Yeah.
We know what Alistair looks like, but to see what Greg Phillips and start to know.
Yes.
And we haven't seen Ted Ryman on here. But we're going to get a video from Ted Ryman sooner or later.
Great. Well, we have pictures of him.
We do, but they're always funny. He's on his motorcycle.
Yeah, right.
He's got a double-breasted chickadee on each arm. He's got. I can't wait to meet him in person, like a lot of these folks.
Yes.
505 PCs in Santa Cruz next week. Maybe he's on the way. The PCCs, meaning the Pacific Coast Championships. Clark Chapin, there's not a lot of mass to a 505. Without passengers, the Mini could probably handle. How about the windage, Clark? It might take
Clark
out.
would know all that too.
He sure would, as an automotive engineer for or for Chrysler, and well, both, I think. Hey, everybody, thanks. This gets us to the finish line. Julia, your witness.
Yes, your great opportunity to like, follow, and share. All it takes is
Do the
just
next one, too.
Comments are welcome, even in replay, and everybody reads the replays, including me.
Keep going.
Support us on Patreon. It's at patreon.com, join/Sailing Illustrated, and those little or grand.
We got another one today.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we did. Every little bit helps.
Yes,
Keep
absolutely.
us on the air, especially in these times of inflation.
I know.
Internet price, everything's going up. It's just hard. Julia, final thoughts?
No, I'm just, of all the bad things going on in the world right now, it's really lovely to have this, the Fosies.
This community.
Yeah.
Get together twice a week with our friends. Clark Chapin saying, by the way, Karen is doing fine. A home visit in the works. So nice to get her out of the rehab center and get her home. I know Clark has built some handrails here and there. Thanks for covering the OK Dinghies. J. Frederick Bland, thank you to you for all you've done and your support. Gordon Smith, lovely people all. What a great group to be in. Fun and smarts in one place. Yep.
How nice.
We do have some fun and smarts, which brings us to our closing little segment here with our Steel Band.
Yes.
And our island music. Hope to see you on Tuesday. Have a great weekend. And if you can, sail fast, sail safe, and have fun. Ciao for now.